The auction hall was huge, filled with bright lights and a strange mix of scents from alien foods and perfumes. The walls were tall, metallic, and cold, reflecting the whispers and murmurs of the crowd. From high above, large screens showed every detail of the rare beings up for sale, but the eyes of the audience were drawn to only one figure. She was unlike any other, small but powerful, with silver-blue skin that shimmered under the lights. Her hair flowed like liquid midnight, and her eyes glowed with a sharp intelligence that made people uneasy. No one could get close to her without feeling a strange chill. Some of the richest and most dangerous bidders in the galaxy had tried, and all had failed. She moved with the grace of a predator and the confidence of a queen. Every step she took seemed calculated, every look full of defiance. She did not flinch when others stared, and no chains or restraints could hold her. The auctioneer stepped onto the platform, his voice loud and commanding. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Galactic Rare Beings Auction." The crowd clapped and cheered, some with excitement, some with fear. The first few bids started slowly, but the tension in the room grew as the untamable alien girl shifted slightly. Her gaze swept over the audience, stopping briefly on a quiet figure in the back, a human watching silently. His face was calm, almost ordinary, but there was something in his eyes that made her pause. Whispers traveled quickly through the crowd. "Who is he?" some asked. "Why is he so quiet?" Others wondered. He was unlike the others, who shouted their bids and showed off their wealth. He seemed patient, observant, and somehow unafraid of her presence. The alien girl tilted her head slightly, curiosity flickering across her glowing eyes. She had never seen a human like this before. As the auction continued, other bidders tried to impress the crowd with high numbers and flashy gestures. They waved credits, promised power, and even made threats, but she did not react. Her silence was louder than their words. The audience began to feel the tension. They knew that if anyone could control her, it would take more than money, more than force, and certainly more than threats. The auctioneer's voice cut through the tension, and now, the untamable alien girl herself. The crowd fell silent, waiting for something extraordinary. She stepped forward, her movements smooth and deliberate. The chains that held her rattled slightly, but she did not struggle. She wanted to show them that she was not afraid, that she was not a prize to be bought. Some bidders whispered to each other nervously, "She is dangerous," one said, "Untamable," another agreed, but even as they spoke, their eyes were fixed on her. They wanted her, needed her, even though they feared what might happen. Her gaze returned to the human at the back, and for the first time, a faint smirk appeared on her lips. It was not a smile of friendliness, but a challenge, a test. The human did not look away. He met her gaze calmly, without fear, without awe. He was different from the others, and she could feel it. Something inside her stirred, a mix of curiosity and caution. She had survived many auctions before, but something about this human made her pause. Maybe he would bid, maybe he would not, but she wanted to see what he would do. Suddenly, a loud shout came from one of the wealthy bidders, "I will pay 100,000 credits for her." The crowd gasped, and the auctioneer's eyes widened. "A bold start," he said, "but is it enough?" The alien girl tilted her head, her smirk growing. She had seen larger bids before, but she enjoyed the chaos. The more desperate the bidders, the more fun it became. Other bidders began to raise their offers, each trying to outdo the other. The numbers climbed quickly. The tension in the room became almost unbearable, yet the alien girl remained still, her eyes scanning the crowd. Her focus returned to the human, who still had not moved. The whispers grew louder. "Who is he? Why hasn't he bid?" People were impatient, frustrated, confused. The auctioneer's voice rose over the noise, "Do we have a bidder for the untamable one?" The room waited, the air heavy with anticipation. She shifted her weight, her glowing eyes never leaving the human. Something told her that the next moment could change everything. She had survived many auctions, but she had never faced a human like this. Time seemed to slow, the room tense, every breath felt loud. The alien girl's smirk disappeared, replaced with sharp alertness. She knew that whoever dared to bid for her next would not be ordinary. The human slowly raised a hand, and the crowd leaned forward, their eyes widening. Something was about to happen, and no one could predict the outcome. The untamable alien girl survived countless dangers, but this auction was different. Something about this human stirred a curiosity she could not ignore. The whispers, the tension, the flashing lights, all faded for a moment as her focus narrowed. The moment of truth was near, and the entire hall waited with bated breath. The auction began, but the untamable alien girl's story was only starting. She was wild, fearless, untamable, yet something about this human made her pause. The crowd held their collective breath, wondering who would dare to win her heart or claim her fate, and in that silence, the first hint of a new journey began. The alien girl's eyes never left the human, a mix of curiosity and caution dancing in their glowing depths. She had faced countless threats, cruel masters, and ruthless hunters, but something about him felt different, not a predator, not a trickster, just calm. His presence alone made her senses sharpen, every movement around her seeming louder, more deliberate. The auction hall continued to roar with excitement and greed, but she moved through it like water, unbroken, untouchable. Memories flickered in her mind, flashes of her life before the auctions, the cold cells she had been locked in, the harsh lessons she had learned, the pain and fear that tried to shape her into obedience, but none of it had worked, none of it had tamed her spirit. Her strength had always been in her refusal to bow, to yield, to surrender, and she carried that fire within her. She could sense the whispers of the crowd, felt their fear and fascination, and it made her pulse quicken. A bidder tried to step closer, waving a glowing device that hummed with energy. "Come with me, and you will have all you desire," he said, his voice slick with false charm. She tilted her head, assessing him with precision, her hand brushing slightly against the chain that hung around her wrist, ready to move at the slightest threat. The moment stretched, the crowd leaning in, sensing something extraordinary was about to happen. Her strength was not only physical but mental, a sharp edge that cut through fear and manipulation. She could read intentions like a map, see lies like broken glass. The bidder faltered, realizing that no threats, no promises, no intimidation would sway her. She was untamable, unbroken, and proud of it. Her defiance was a weapon as sharp as any blade, as potent as any technology in the room. The human in the back finally moved, his hand brushing the edge of the console, his gaze never leaving hers. He did not call out, did not shout, did not threaten. His calmness was like a ripple through the chaotic energy of the hall, and she felt it, felt the difference between him and the others, something that made her pause in ways she had never paused before. She remembered her training, every escape, every calculated risk, every strategy that had kept her alive. Her mind raced, weighing him, considering him, wondering if he would be another fool or something more. The uncertainty thrilled her in a way she could not explain, her pulse quickening not from fear, but from anticipation. She had faced danger countless times, but curiosity was a rare spark, one that she had almost forgotten. The auctioneer's voice boomed across the hall. "The untamable alien girl remains, still unclaimed. Who dares to bid next?" The bidders shouted, throwing numbers higher and higher, glittering credits flying like sparks, but she ignored them, her focus narrowing to the human, watching his hand, waiting for a sign. She wondered if he could see her as she truly was, not a prize, not a commodity, but a being full of life, full of fire, full of will. The crowd was restless, sensing her tension, sensing her power. They had never seen such a creature refuse the galaxy's wealth so openly. Some whispered of curses, of ancient bloodlines, of powers no one could understand, yet she moved through their whispers like a shadow, unbothered, untouchable, unyielding. Then a small smirk appeared on her face, not of amusement, but challenge. She would not give herself easily, not to money, not to fear, not even to admiration. Her eyes flared brighter, a silent message to the human and the hall alike. Whoever dared to claim her would need more than wealth, more than force, more than cunning. They would need courage, patience, and respect for the untamable. The human shifted slightly, leaning forward, and the alien girl felt a flicker of hope. Could it be possible that this one person was different? Could he understand what she had spent her life protecting, her freedom, her choices, her spirit? The air between them seemed to hum, a tension unlike anything she had ever known. The auction continued around them, but for a brief moment, the chaos faded, leaving only her, him, and the unspoken challenge. She took a slow breath, centering herself, feeling her strength settle in her muscles and her mind. Her hands relaxed, but only slightly, her eyes sharp, her body ready. She was untamable, fearless, and aware that this moment might change everything. The hall waited, the crowd buzzing, the bidders shouting, but she was still, focused, alert, waiting for the human's next move. And deep inside, a tiny spark of something unfamiliar began to grow. curiosity, interest, maybe even trust. She did not know yet what it meant, but it was enough to make her pulse quicken, enough to make her shift, ready to test him, ready to challenge him, ready to survive, and the auction was far from over, but already, the untamable alien girl felt that the real story had just begun. The human had been quiet since the auction began, watching the chaos with calm eyes. Unlike the others, he did not shout, wave credits, or try to impress anyone. He observed the alien girl with a steady gaze, noticing the way she moved, how she held herself, and the subtle tension in her glowing eyes. There was a respect in his observation, not fear, not desire, not greed, but genuine recognition of her strength. He had heard stories about the untamable alien girl, about her fierce spirit and unmatched survival skills, about how many had tried and failed to control her, about how she could outsmart, outrun, and outfight anyone foolish enough to challenge her. Most humans would have avoided this auction entirely, afraid of the risks, but he felt drawn to her in a way he could not explain, a silent pull that told him she was worth everything. The girl noticed him too, her glowing eyes narrowing slightly, a flicker of curiosity crossed her face. She had never seen a human who did not tremble, did not shout, did not try to dominate her. He was different, calm and patient, his eyes holding a strange mixture of confidence and curiosity. It made her wonder, could this human be the one to finally understand her, or would he be another fool crushed by her fire? The bidding grew louder around them, voices rising, numbers climbing, glittering credits flying through the air, but the human remained still, watching, calculating, as if the noise and greed of the auction were meaningless. The alien girl felt her pulse quicken, sensing a challenge in him. Something in his quiet presence told her he might be able to match her will, to survive her defiance. She did not yet trust him, but for the first time, she considered the possibility. Then, without warning, he raised his hand, signaling that he would bid. The entire hall froze, the chatter silenced by the shock, eyes turned toward him, jaws dropped, and whispers spread like wildfire. Who is he? What is he doing? Is he insane? But the alien girl did not flinch. She watched intently, her eyes wide with anticipation. The auctioneer leaned forward, surprised. A bid? From a human? His voice trembled slightly, half in disbelief, half in excitement. The bidders around him erupted, shouting higher numbers, trying to outdo this unexpected challenger. Their anger and greed flared, but the human remained calm, raising his bid with precision, not arrogance, not recklessness, but intent. The alien girl tilted her head, studying him, her smirk returning, sharper this time. There was something in his calmness that intrigued her, something that made her pulse race. He was not trying to control her with money or threats, he was showing her a strange kind of respect, and that alone was enough to make her curious. The human's bid was not the highest, but it carried weight, a silent declaration that he would not back down, that he was willing to face danger and risk everything for her. The crowd murmured, shocked by his audacity. Many laughed at what they thought was foolishness, but the alien girl's instincts told her otherwise. This human was different, and she wanted to see how far he would go. The auctioneer hesitated, sensing the tension rising. The room seemed to shrink as all eyes focused on the untamable girl and the human who dared to challenge the galaxy's expectations. Her chains rattled slightly as she shifted her weight, ready for anything, ready for him, ready for the test he might bring. A rival bidder stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. You dare bid against me for her? He shouted, waving his credits aggressively, but the human did not respond with anger, only with a quiet, steady gaze, meeting the alien girl's eyes, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them, something that said, I will not break you, but I will not turn away. The girl felt a thrill unlike anything she had ever felt, excitement mixed with caution. She had survived countless dangers, but the human's quiet defiance and courage stirred something new within her. Could he truly be the one to match her spirit? Could he survive the untamable, or would he fall like so many before? The room held its collective breath as the human confirmed his bid, and the auctioneer reluctantly nodded. The bid is accepted. The alien girl's eyes widened slightly, but there was no fear, only curiosity, a flicker of interest that had never existed before. She had faced countless predators, rulers, and hunters, but this human was not like them. She felt the first spark of something unfamiliar, something dangerous, exciting, and unpredictable. And in that moment, the untamable alien girl realized the game had changed. The auction was no longer about survival or money, it was about a new challenge, a new connection, and the first step toward a story neither of them could predict. The crowd roared, but she only focused on him, the human who dared to see her as she truly was, and not as a prize to be owned. The moment the human confirmed his bid, the auction hall erupted into chaos, voices shouted, credits clashed in the air, and the sound of metal and energy devices created a thunderous roar. Bidders pushed and shoved, some furious that a human dared challenge them, others whispered darkly about the untamable alien girl and the human who dared claim her. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter, scanning the hall with sharp focus, sensing every movement, every intention, every hidden threat. A rival bidder, tall and heavily armored, surged forward, his eyes burning with anger. "You cannot claim her, human," he shouted, raising a shock whip that crackled with dangerous energy. The crowd gasped, stepping back as the device hummed ominously, ready to strike. The alien girl tilted her head slightly, almost amused, her body tensing, ready to move in an instant. She had faced weapons stronger than this, but the thrill of danger made her pulse quicken. The human did not flinch, he stood tall, his hand hovering near a concealed device on his belt, his gaze never leaving the alien girl. Calm, measured, unwavering, he spoke quietly, "I will not hurt her, but I will not step aside." The rival bidder snarled, lunging forward, but the alien girl moved faster, twisting and leaping, her chains rattling as she landed lightly on the floor. Every motion was precise, powerful, and impossible to anticipate. She was untamable, and now she had an ally who matched her courage. The crowd screamed as she dodged, striking with the precision of a predator, knocking the energy whip harmlessly aside. Sparks flew, and the bidder stumbled, shocked by her skill. The human stepped forward, placing himself between her and the attackers. His calm presence seemed to ground her, a strange connection forming, and for the first time, she felt a flicker of trust. The tension in the room was electric, a mix of fear, awe, and anticipation. Other bidders tried to intervene, waving weapons, shouting threats, but the alien girl's eyes were everywhere, her body moving in perfect harmony with the human. They formed an unexpected team, silent, deadly, and unpredictable. Each time a weapon was raised, she was there, twisting, dodging, striking, while he blocked and countered with precision. Their synergy was raw, untested, but effective, and the crowd began to sense that this auction was no longer about money. Amid the chaos, the auctioneer's voice cracked, "Calm yourselves. This is an auction, not a battlefield." His words fell on deaf ears. The energy devices sparked and hummed dangerously, some bidders fleeing in fear, realizing that neither the alien girl nor the human would be intimidated. She moved with a grace that was almost hypnotic, a mix of speed, strength, and intelligence. Every motion seemed effortless, yet every action carried deadly power. The human raised his voice, steady and commanding, "Back off, or no one leaves alive." His calmness contrasted sharply with the chaos around them, and it forced many to hesitate. The alien girl watched him, admiration flickering in her glowing eyes. He was not afraid, he was not greedy, he was not foolish. He understood the stakes, he respected her strength, and for the first time, she felt a strange, thrilling sense of partnership. A rival bidder tried a desperate move, leaping from the crowd with a stun blade, aiming directly for the alien girl. She twisted mid-air, her body flowing like water, landing behind him, and with a swift motion, disarmed him effortlessly. The crowd erupted in gasps, some cheering, some terrified. Their whispers grew into loud murmurs. "She is unstoppable. Who is this human? This changes everything." The human extended a hand toward her, steady and calm, a silent offer of alliance. She hesitated, then nodded slightly, acknowledging him. Her trust was not complete, but it was growing, a rare flicker of connection in a world built on fear and greed. The auction hall had turned into a battlefield, but she had found an ally, and he had found a challenge worth facing. Amid the chaos, credits and weapons scattered, lights flickered, and the crowd slowly realized that this auction was no longer about who could pay the most. It was about survival, courage, and respect for the untamable. The alien girl stood tall, her glowing eyes scanning the hall, her body ready, her mind alert. The human remained beside her, calm and steady, their bond growing with each passing second. And in that moment, both knew that the auction was not the end, but the beginning. the chaos had revealed their strengths, their instincts, and the spark of something powerful, something dangerous, and something exciting. The untamable alien girl and the human had survived the first storm together, but a greater adventure awaited beyond the auction hall. The auction hall had settled into an uneasy silence, the echoes of chaos lingering in the air. The alien girl stood beside the human, her glowing eyes scanning the crowd, every nerve alert. She had survived countless threats before, but this moment felt different, as if the tide had shifted, something new had begun, something she could not yet name. The human stepped forward, his hand outstretched, a gesture simple but full of meaning. "You are free now," he said quietly, his voice calm but firm. The alien girl studied him carefully, suspicion and curiosity warring in her eyes. She had never been offered freedom before, only bids, threats, or chains, and now someone was giving it willingly, without expectation or greed. The auctioneer stared, stunned, unsure how to react. "Wait, what does this mean?" he stammered. The other bidders murmured, their anger fading into disbelief. They had expected money, control, and chaos, but instead, a human had claimed the untamable alien girl through courage and respect, not force, not fear, and not wealth. The alien girl hesitated, then slowly reached out, taking his hand with a cautious grip. Their eyes met, and for the first time, a silent understanding passed between them. A spark of trust, fragile but undeniable, had formed. She realized that she had found someone who could face her without trying to bend her will, someone who could see her as she truly was. The human nodded, understanding the hesitation, his grip firm but gentle. "We leave together," he said, "no chains, no auctions, only freedom." The alien girl's lips curved into a small, rare smile, the first in a long while. It was not a smile of surrender, but of choice, a choice she had made for herself. The crowd slowly began to disperse, murmurs and whispers following them, some in awe, some in fear, but none could deny the shift that had occurred. The untamable alien girl had survived not just the auction, but the greed and chaos surrounding her. She had found someone worthy of respect, someone who had dared to meet her spirit without breaking it. They walked out of the hall together, the human guiding her gently, yet letting her lead when she wished. The lights of the city outside shone bright, alien suns reflecting off metal towers and floating platforms. Everything felt alive, full of possibilities, and for the first time in years, she felt hope, not just survival. As they moved through the crowds, she glanced at him, curiosity and caution still present, but also something new, excitement. The human smiled back, quietly confident, knowing that this partnership was only the beginning, that the challenges ahead would test them both, but together, they could face anything. The alien girl lifted her head, feeling the wind from the open city corridors, her chains gone, her spirit unbound. She had survived, thrived, and now, she had a chance to choose her own path. The human walked beside her, steady and calm, a protector, a companion, and perhaps, in time, something more. They stepped onto a transport platform, leaving the auction behind, but carrying with them the memory of defiance, courage, and the first spark of trust. The untamable alien girl was free, and the human had changed her fate forever. The story was far from over, but this chapter ended with hope, adventure, and the promise of new beginnings. As the platform lifted into the sky, floating above the glowing city, she felt a thrill run through her, a mix of fear, excitement, and anticipation. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, but now, she would not face it alone. Together, untamable and human, they would carve their own story, one of freedom, courage, and discovery. And somewhere deep inside, the alien girl realized that freedom was more than escape. It was choosing who to trust, choosing who to follow, and choosing her own destiny. The human glanced at her, eyes calm and understanding, and she knew, without words, that the journey ahead would test them, thrill them, and bind them in ways neither could predict. The auction was over, but a new adventure had begun, and the untamable alien girl and her human companion would face it together, unbroken, unyielding, and ready for whatever the galaxy dared to throw their way.